What is up? Happy Monday. Do a little quick one here tonight. A lot of stuff to try to squeeze into. So much shite out there. So much shite out there, but I don't really care. A lot of the crap. Because it's such crap, right? Like watching people are fight over, this person or that person or this situation. Trump's going to open up. No, he's not going to open up Alcatraz. It costs $1.5 billion to house 3 people. I don't know who you think you're housing there that's that important. It's going to be more than that, Chad. I know. It's going to be awesome. Or whatever. He's not doing it. Sounds good, though. People are talking about it all day. It's like, did you guys hear he's going to open up Alcatraz? It's going to be pretty awesome. Is he? I've been to Alcatraz, too. If you've never been, I'm telling you guys right now, if you've never been to Alcatraz and you have a chance to go before Trump turns it into Magatraz or whatever he wants to go, you should go. It is awesome. It is just incredible to see, because the last time I was there, and I'll admit it was a while ago, but they had both guards and people that were actually prisoners giving tours. And it is super cool. Get a kind of feel of what it was like. They show you around. You see where the Birdman was. I mean, it's a cool thing. If you have a chance, do it before Trump turns it into Megatraz, which he's not going to do, for God's sakes. Speaking of Trump, apparently, and this is rather interesting, we're going to run through a couple things here. If you're here and you want to self-deport, right? So you're going to pull the ejection and take it off and going back to whence you came, but you may want to come back. You don't know, so you're going to play it by ear. The administration is going to help you out. So we're paying people to leave now.
Exclusively that DHS will announce today that they're going to start paying for the commercial flights of illegal aliens who self-deport from the U.S. And on top of that, they're going to pay them an additional $1,000 stipend once they're confirmed to have left the country. Now, DHS says doing this is going to be significantly cheaper for the American taxpayer. They tell us that right now it costs on average about $17,000 to arrest, detain, and deport someone. They say paying for self-deportations and the stipend will only cost about $4,500 per person. That's about 70% cheaper. Aliens are going to have to register to self-deport on the new CBP Home app to access that DHS financial assistance, as well as announce their intent to leave the country. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem tells Fox in part, quote, "If you are here illegally, self-deportation is the best, safest, and most cost-effective way to leave the United States to avoid arrest." In the meantime, here in the sanctuary city of Los Angeles, ICE confirms to Fox News that 3 suspects arrested in connection with the home invasion murder of a man in the Woodland Hills neighborhood last Sunday are all in the U.S. illegally.
Oh, I bet they'd like to be deported now. Self-deported. Yeah, I don't think they are. And that's good. I mean, nor should they be. That was a horrible incident. So self-deportation, you get $1,000, right? That's your parting gift. And you're also going to get a ticket to where? So to make sure it's not El Salvador. But I'm not from El Salvador. Well, yeah, fun. It's very safe now. I mean, it's kind of neat. I understand why they do it. If it's cost effective. If you are, and I was thinking about this today, like, who would do this, right? So you've braved hell and back, right, to come here, right? You've been through some shit. Some serious shit. Like, you've been through some serious stuff. And you've come here. And if you've been here for 4 or 5 years and you're making okay money, you're really flying under the radar, maybe you've got a wife and a couple kids, maybe you don't chance it. You say, you know what? I'm not going to do that because I don't know if I'll have a chance to come back over again. And so I'll see what happens here. And I'll stick it out. And if I get caught, I recognize that no matter, who's president, there's always that chance. That being said, you recognize what might happen, but you also think to yourself, and I'm looking at the numbers, they don't have any more money coming in. They're not going to have that many more people that they're going to bring into the deportation game, if you will. So you stick it out for a little while longer. Do you think maybe Trump wins or a MAGA person wins the next round. Maybe they don't. And if they don't, chances are the next person's going to be like Biden. We're going to turn a blind eye. And at what point, too, so I was talking to somebody today, an economist, do the big folks get to, and by that I mean the big donors, get to Trump and say, look, you can't be kicking out all of our help. All right, so you're going to have to figure something out here. Because you know that'll happen because they're buying access. And they're buying the hell out of access because they have the chance to do that. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I can't imagine people are going to self-deport. Now, if you were here legally at one point, you overstayed your visa, you want a chance to come back and maybe have another shot at it, okay, maybe you do that. But at this moment in time, you've been through hell to get here. You're still feeding your family. You're not going anywhere. Not anytime soon. And they'll say, look, we did it with 5,000 people. Yeah, but you got 15 to 20 million people here illegally. So that's a lot. That's like taking a Dixie cup and scooping out a bit of the ocean. That's a long time coming. Great. Look, I understand it completely. I understand it absolutely why you'd want to do this. But that being said, the reality is this going to happen the way that they would like? No, but you got to throw everything against the wall. And let's be real. The last administration threw nothing out there to stop anybody and then lied to everybody and said, it can't be done. Just can't be done. No, it could be done. And it has been done. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Meanwhile, Bill Nye, he's a science guy, except for the part where he's just an engineer, but whatever. And apparently he's going to tell us about gender. And I only bring this up because what the is going on? Really? When you wonder why people are going, what? Where does this come into the world of, hey, show us why this bridge works this way, or show us this. Bill's like, I got a better idea.
Sexuality.
Rainbows.
There's a lot more going on than meets the eye. Female or male, gay or straight, pink or blue. We were taught to see these as binary. Now we're realizing it's more like a kaleidoscope. And this stuff isn't just for adults. Parents know this already. Kids explore gender, expression, attraction before they've ever heard of a spectrum.
I'm sorry, he's just an effing idiot. Like, he's just an idiot. Sorry, dude. These things are different. Female and male are different. You are a female, okay? There's, right, like, you guys get it. No, are there some males, you are biologically male, and could you have same-sex attraction? Yes. Could you be biologically female and be into chicks? Yes. That is true. There is a difference between sexuality and gender. But if you are a male and you dress up as a woman and chop your wang off and get big tits and call yourself Mary, you're still a male. Sorry. That's how it is.
Don't be sorry, Dave. We've had Dave on the show on numerous occasions, and I thought to myself, why is Bill Nye doing this? Because he's doing all kinds of wacky shit, right? When it comes to, he pushes agendas and the whole 9 yards. And it was Dave saying it, you know, you know what? If you can do anything you want, right? Like if you go out and you're like, I'm buying a kit car, but all I have is a Pinto engine and an interior, but I'm going to kit it out to make it look like, you know, like a Countach or some sort of, you know, Ferrari or something like that. You can do all the things you want, man, but underneath and everything in the inside, it's still a Pinto. And there was nothing wrong with the Pinto minus the explosions. Let's be honest. Phenomenal car. You ever look back to like 70s, 80s car and go, what were you guys thinking? You mean you don't like the Gremlin? I mean, I'm not saying it's the worst car ever, but it's pretty much the worst car ever. Then they're like, well, have you seen the Pacer? And I'm like, no. Although I will tell you guys this. If you have a chance, look it up. There's a guy who took a Pacer. It's a great idea. And he turned it into, I think, an aquarium. Which is, I mean, that's incredible, right? Like, that's an awesome thing. So yes, he is right. You can change all the things you want, but what you can't change is truth and reality. And there could be a spectrum of what you identify and whatnot, and that's fine. Live your life that way. But why are you pushing it on kids? Let kids be kids. Kids don't pick stuff up at 4 and 5. And my kid was 2, and he realized that he wanted to wear dresses and have breasts and get his ears pierced. When my kid was like 4 or 5, Jack, he for like a year wanted to be a fire engine. And at no point in time did I tell his mom, we have to start going and get some metal and to try to, weld it to his body. No. Kids make decisions. Let them be kids first and foremost. Let's stop pushing shit. You want to know why stuff goes south? This is why. When you push shit that's wacky, this is the stuff that happens over and over again. And finally, to wacky. Interesting thing here. So birth rates. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. You want to know what the biggest issue we're going to have, not just in our country, but in the West and in the world of freedom? And yeah, China's going to have a bad issue here too. It's that we're not going to exist because we are not reproducing. And it is not happening. And it doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon. Case in point, let's just take a look at this. Okay? So this is from the National Statistics Office. So you've got France, you got EU as a whole, you've got Germany, Finland, Italy, and Spain all collapsing. So the replacement levels where you want to be in the 60s and 70s, everybody was doing all right. We're not doing all right anymore. Not at all. We move from there to this right here. This total fertility birth rate per women. Sweden collapsing. India, which, by the way, has overtaken China. It's the most populous nation on the planet. That being said, both of them are going, and you look at China there. That's what happens when you only have a sausage party. They had an issue with girls, and now they're looking around going, this isn't what we were hoping for. But Spain, United States, Denmark, Kenya, South Korea. South Korea, by the way, if you guys can see it here, this is the one that is, there is very little hope at the rate that South Korea is going. From the 50s, where they were 6 births down to under a birth, that's the end of your society. By the end of this century, they'll have gone from 50-some million down into the teens. Your society is screwed. Well, why is this happening? A lot of reasons. Cost of living is one of them. The fact that we don't date anymore. We're more connected than ever before, yet we're further apart. Women, they have a higher standard now of men. They're useless. Here's something I found interesting. So this is one of the reasons there are issues with dating with women and men. And it's the ick. It's the ick factor. So these are some of the icks that women have with men. I love the posing with a fish. What kind of fish was it? Like if it's a great white shark, you got to kind of be impressed, right? Like if I'm standing there and I caught a great white shark and I'm like that's impressive. It's like if you're standing there holding like 50, bluegill, okay. But starting a convo with what you doing? Spontaneous. When they say the most spontaneous thing they've ever done is move here. Any mention of alpha male energy because they like the beta, then they go, why isn't it working? I just want to have sex with me. I don't know what the deal is. Fluid and sarcasm is not a good one. Way too many gym selfies or shirtless pics. Oh. Only pictures of their cats, car, or dogs. Right? Weird flexes like I own 4 businesses and 7 properties at 25. That's some of the icks that are out there. And that's not good because we're not dating. And and as I go through and I read the article, I noticed that they're looking for a reason not to go out on a date. They're looking for a reason not to date a woman. Looking for a reason, date a guy. They're looking for a reason where they just want to anything they can find. They're looking for a reason. Like, I really don't like this guy. His shoes were, they were brown and I only like blue. I mean, they were looking for something. And it reminds me of that movie. Oh God. With Jack Black, where he got hypnotized and he fell in love with, what he thought was Gwyneth Paltrow, and she was thin and beautiful, but she turned out to be rather large. But Jason Alexander's in the movie, and he's always looking for that ick on a person. The woman he dates, like her feet are perfect, but they're not quite perfect. So it's, if that's the world you're going to live in, it's going to be a lonely place. And the other side of it too, which again, paying attention here, and this is interesting, but not as interesting as, I think we all recognize this. So the new marriage of unequals. Women are now more likely to marry a less educated man, and men are more likely to date more educated women. And at this time, it says it's women who are marrying down. Researchers debate whether marriage between educated equals, homogeny, is on the decline. One thing is clear: the phenomenon of women marrying men with less education themselves, what academics call hypopogamy, is on the rise. Oh, okay. But let me ask you guys this. Who cares? It's the difference between a man and a woman. You could be, because we are visual creatures, let's be honest. And if you're hot, we're like, oh, she's hot. That's pretty cool. She's hot. We don't care if you're parking cars or if you're working at a an ice cream shop. We don't care. We don't care if you've got an education. No. Are you kind of hot and nice? Okay, it's a win, right? Like, we're in. This sounds okay. I mean, we don't like drama, but that's everybody. But this is pretty interesting because schools have been set up for the last several decades to benefit, young girls. Men are becoming angry. They're looking for something. And they're not finding what they think. And they think the world owes them something. And they're getting more and more pissed off young men who are reaching out and trying to find that thing. And that thing is advice that's just ridiculous. And women are looking and saying, well, you're not educated. And it's funny because I've got friends who in younger days make 6+ figures and then some. They don't have an education and they get their hands dirty. But some of the women they date, they were like, man, she treats him like shit, like he's special needs. Yet you've got $70,000 in debt. He's debt-free. He owns a house, debt-free. He owns a freaking boat, which is always a nightmare, but fun if you don't own it. And you're looking down because you feel that the education that you got somehow gives you this. It's not about marrying down. It's funny that the Atlantic would put that. Could you imagine if the Atlantic would put, men are marrying down? And back in the day, way back in the day, yeah, there was that kind of, oh, yes, you got to marry right. Otherwise, it's not going to work. I didn't marry down. I married right. Okay, that's fine. What kind of dowry did you get? And this is an issue when you go through and you look at the numbers we just showed you there with the declining rates of birth in this country and in Spain and South Korea and Denmark and India and Sweden. That is not a good place for us as a nation and the West and freedoms to be, where we are seeing young men and women not dating. And they're not going to date at the rate we're going either because, well, quite frankly, they don't want it. I watched the thing the other day where a woman said this, and I thought it was pretty much spot on. She said to a guy that they were chatting. She says, I like the idea of you, but not the actual commitment. And I thought, that is not a good place to be. It isn't. And the reason our numbers aren't like South Korea's is because we have both legal and illegal immigration that has happened. And they are giving birth here in this nation, which is giving us the opportunity to, we're nowhere near above replacement, but we're not down by South Korea. But at the rate we're going to have serious issues. There is no doubt in my mind if we don't figure this out. And young men, you got to stop being bitches. It is okay to be masculine and not a douche. Young women, get over it. Not everybody's perfect. It's true. I know. Lord knows I'm not. And there's always some give and take. But we need to look at what we're going to do in the future when it comes to, and even the whole $5,000, because we can get to the point where, let's just say they do start dating and everybody's like, hey, I kind of like dating and I'd like to get married one day. But having a kid, I can't afford that. That's a big issue. That is a big issue. When you've got, like, I'm out here in Nashville. Report the other day, $145,000 or $43,000 to essentially get a starter home. That's not, let's have kids. That's not build a future. That's not say that's to get into your starter home. That's if you save long enough to get a down payment, let alone have children. So there's a lot more than just the ick and the guys are this and women are mean. There is a lot more to it. But the reality is, when we talk about things that are really an issue in this country and things that are going to eventually hurt our country in the long run, big time. And this is why Elon's having 412 kids a week, it seems. It's because we don't have, and we are not having enough children. And without enough children, you don't have enough teenagers. Without enough teenagers, you don't have enough young adults. Without enough young adults, you don't have enough adults to do what? To make sure that the people that are retiring have people that are paying into society and taking care of society to keep it flourishing. Otherwise, it's going to get ugly. It's always fun. As always, reach out to me across all my social media. Everywhere. I got plenty of it. At Chad Benza Show is your Insta, your X, your like and subscribe on the YouTube, and share if you can. Appreciate that. As well as that, check out our Facebook and catch our shows every single morning, 6 to 9 a.m. Pacific, 9 to noon on the East Coast. You can grab the podcast as well. If you have a chance, check those things out. Check out ChadBensonShow.com. See our page. And tomorrow, got a couple different things, including my uncle joining me, which should be probably really offensive, because as much as we try not to be offensive, it happens. So bear with me. Have a great Cinco de Mayo, or Drinko de Mayo, as some people call it. And remember, this is not Mexico's Independence Day. It's the Battle of Puebla. Zaragoza defeated the French. The French hadn't lost in a long time. There was 9,000 French. There was 2,000 of the Mexicans, and they went in there and they whooped their ass. And they celebrated. And then he died from typhoid a month later. But still, for that 2 or 3 weeks before everything went sideways, he was probably living life large.